Now read this. Welcome to a new way of reading and thinking. You're experiencing something called bionic reading, where bold letters help your brain quickly predict what's coming next. By selectively bolding the first letters, we tap into your brain's inherent need to fill in gaps. As you can see, you likely find the bold text faster and more engaging. Our brain is a pattern recognition machine. From reading text to predicting weather, it constantly looks for shortcuts and cues. If something this simple can speed up your reading, think of what else is possible. Our brain is a pattern recognition machine. From reading text to predicting weather, it constantly looks for shortcuts and cues. If something this simple can speed up your reading, think of what else is possible. In this video, we'll explore how to reprogram some of your brain's built-in shortcuts so you can accomplish more, worry less, and ultimately thrive in every aspect of life. The human brain is a complex organ, arguably the most sophisticated information processing system on the planet, and yet it often relies on surprisingly simple mental shortcuts to navigate our day-to-day world. By learning to harness these shortcuts, we can reshape our habits, boost productivity, and cultivate a more resilient mindset. Let's dive in. Your brain processes an enormous amount of sensory information every second. To handle this overwhelming data flow, it employs heuristics, or quick rules of thumb, to make snap judgments and decisions. While heuristics often save us time and mental energy, they can also lead us astray, especially in the form of cognitive biases and perceptual illusions. Visual illusions, such as the Miller-Lyer illusion, where two lines of equal length appear different, exploit these shortcuts. Our brains fill in the blanks based on patterns and past experiences, helping us to perceive a stable and consistent world. However, when the real-world stimulus doesn't match our brain's assumptions, we experience illusions. Recognizing that your brain makes assumptions helps you see where you might be relying on inaccurate shortcuts. Once you identify these tendencies, you can adjust your thinking and behavior accordingly. One of the most famous demonstrations of our mind's reliance on learned shortcuts is the Stroop Effect. Devised by psychologist John Ridley Stroop in 1935, the Stroop Effect occurs when the color of a word's text conflicts with its meaning. Because we're so accustomed to reading words automatically, it becomes challenging to focus on identifying the color instead. The brain momentarily freezes, struggling to override the more dominant reading shortcut. Try this quick test. Name the color. This conflict reveals just how powerfully ingrained certain mental shortcuts can be. Even when you consciously know what you're trying to do, name the color, the learned behavior, reading the word, often wins out. This same principle applies when you try to replace an old habit with a new one. Your established mental pathways can resist change. The placebo effect highlights the profound influence of belief and expectation on our physiology. In medical trials, patients given an inert substance, like a sugar pill, sometimes show real improvements simply because they believe they've received effective treatment. Research suggests that belief activates certain regions in the brain related to stress reduction and reward. Neurotransmitters like endorphins and dopamine may be released, exerting positive effects on pain perception, mood, and immune function. The placebo effect is a potent reminder that what we think can significantly impact how we feel. When you harness positive expectations, like telling yourself you can succeed or visualizing a beneficial outcome, you effectively cue your brain to respond as if you were already on the path to success. At its core, the human brain aims to predict what might happen next, associate how does this relate to what I already know, and filter what can I ignore so it can conserve energy. By consciously redirecting these shortcuts, you can influence your behaviors, mindset, and results. Control the input, shape the output. Much like an engineer running simulations by controlling variables, you can define the input in your daily life. This might involve setting clear, bite-sized goals or creating specific routines that nudge your brain toward the outcomes you want. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter central to the brain's reward system. It's released when you achieve something, big or small, giving you a sense of satisfaction and motivating you to seek that feeling again. Tiny wins, massive impact. Platforms like Duolingo thrive on short lessons that provide quick, consistent wins. You see your streaks, earn points XP, and get instant feedback. These small accomplishments trigger dopamine release, making you want to come back for more. Personal goals. You can replicate this by giving yourself micro rewards, like checking off to-do lists or celebrating minor milestones. Over time, these mini dopamine hits fuel motivation and persistence. Break large tasks into smaller steps. Reward yourself after completing each step. This could be a short walk, a piece of fruit, or simply acknowledging your progress. First described by psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik in the 1920s, the Zeigarnik Effect states that people remember incomplete or interrupted tasks more than completed ones. Why it works? Your brain hates loose ends. When a task is left unfinished, it's like an itch you can't scratch. It remains in your working memory and repeatedly nudges you to wrap it up. Leverage it. Tell yourself you'll work on something for just 5 minutes or write just 2 sentences. Once you start, your brain will poke at you to continue until the task is done. This effect can be a powerful weapon against putting things off. Simply begin the project in a small way, and your brain's natural inclination to complete what's unfinished will kick in. Anchoring, in psychological terms, often refers to the tendency to rely too heavily on an initial piece of information. However, in habit building, it can also mean creating contextual cues that trigger specific mental states. The classic experiments by Ivan Pavlov showed how dogs could be conditioned to salivate at the sound of a bell if that bell consistently preceded mealtime. In human terms, you can train your brain to shift gears into focus mode or creative mode by repeatedly associating a particular location or cue with that mindset. Use one corner of your room or a specific chair in your home solely for work. Over time, merely sitting there primes your brain for productivity. Stimulus control. If you always study in the same environment, your brain begins to associate that setting with concentration, making it easier to slip into focus when you arrive. Now that we've explored the science, let's see how to put these insights into action every day. Doing something like jumping jacks, splashing cold water on your face, or any quick burst of activity signals your brain to switch from groggy to alert. This shock or sudden change in state floods your system with adrenaline, accelerating the transition from sleep inertia to wakefulness. If there's a task you dread, commit to just 2 minutes. Starting is often the hardest part. Zeigarnik Effect. Once you've started, your brain will nag you to continue. This is a brilliant trick to overcome procrastination and inertia. Over time, this space becomes an anchor. When you sit there, you're training your mind to say, "I'm here to work, so let's focus." Attach a new habit to an existing one. For instance, if you want to meditate daily, do it right after brushing your teeth. Proposed by psychologist Peter Gollwitzer, this approach has you define specific if X, then Y plans. Example, if it's 8 a.m., then I write 100 words. In the 1960s and 1970s, psychologist Walter Mischel tested children's ability to delay gratification. Those who waited to get 2 marshmallows instead of eating one right away tended to have better life outcomes in later years. Training yourself to resist the urge for immediate rewards can compound into substantial benefits over time. This principle is crucial for building discipline and long-term success. By weaving together dopamine hacks, small rewards, Zeigarnik triggers, leave tasks intentionally unfinished, anchoring, designated spaces, and habit stacking, pairing new habits with existing ones, you create a powerful ecosystem for self-improvement. Each method supports and reinforces the others. Start your morning with a quick burst of exercise, pattern break. Then sit in your designated workspace, anchoring, to write just 2 sentences, Zeigarnik. Reward yourself with a small treat or a quick social media check, dopamine, after those 2 sentences, and watch how naturally you slip into a full writing session. Always remember, when you take control of the inputs in your environment, how you structure tasks, set goals, and reward yourself, you effectively guide your brain's shortcuts toward the outcomes you desire. This isn't about hacking your brain so much as it is about respecting and leveraging the way your brain naturally operates. If you found these insights enlightening, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into neuroscience, psychology, and practical strategies to master your mind. Your journey toward rewiring your brain starts the moment you decide to implement these techniques. Which strategy are you most excited to try first? Let me know in the comments. And if you want an even deeper exploration of these brain hacking principles, be sure to check out our next video where we'll break down more techniques for optimizing your mental performance. Thank you for watching, and remember, small, consistent actions lead to massive transformations over time. You've got this. Now, go out there and shape your life by shaping your mind.